It sounds like a somber topic, yet understanding these signals may allow you to offer deeper compassion, practical support, and genuine comfort when a loved one is preparing to leave this world. Before we begin, please remember this narrative is for educational purposes only. It does not replace individualized medical advice or professional guidance. If you have concerns about a particular situation, consult qualified healthcare providers for personalized information and support. As someone who has dedicated years to geriatric care, end-of-life counseling, and the study of elder psychology, I believe it is essential to recognize subtle changes that can happen in the final phase of life. By understanding these clues, you can be more prepared, both emotionally and practically. Imagine a quiet afternoon in a small suburban home. Soft light comes through the curtains as an 82-year-old woman named Marion attempts to sip her tea. Her daughter, Catherine, notices the trembling in Marion's hands and the slight distance in her gaze. Marion has always been spirited. She used to tell neighborhood kids to chase their dreams, sprinkling advice like seeds of hope wherever she went. Lately, though, something is different. There is a slow, gentle withdrawal from daily routines. There are moments of confusion that break her once steady flow of conversation. Catherine wonders if these are just normal signs of aging or early hints that Marion is nearing a final transition. Questions circle in Catherine's mind. She recalls news articles claiming that nearly half of individuals over 65 face severe health decline without immediate detection, as suggested by data from various geriatric care research centers. She wonders, are there indicators so subtle that they remain hidden until it's almost too late? You might be asking yourself that very same question if you have an older parent, a grandparent, or even a close friend showing changes in alertness, mood, or appetite. In our time together, we will explore 5 pivotal signs often associated with the end-of-life process. These indicators tend to appear in the weeks or sometimes months leading up to a person's final moments. They are not always obvious, yet they can be powerful signals that the body and spirit are moving toward closure. I encourage you to stay with me until the end. The final point often goes unnoticed, yet it can profoundly shape how loved ones remember their last interactions. I also invite you to share your experiences in the comments if you feel comfortable. Your stories can offer solace to others on this path. If you find this video or narrative helpful, consider subscribing, because future discussions will delve into more ways to provide comfort for older adults facing various life transitions. Picture now the gentle hum of a favorite radio station in the background. The low volume soothes Marion as she rests in a recliner. Catherine decides to make her mother's favorite soup. She notices that over the past few days, Marion has hardly touched her meals. Sometimes she only has half a cup of broth or a spoonful of mashed potatoes. A diminishing appetite can be a natural part of aging, but there's a unique way it unfolds when someone is approaching life's end. Instead of a steady daily intake, the individual begins to eat far less and shows an aversion to foods they once loved. Textures or smells might suddenly become overwhelming. Even water may be sipped in tiny amounts, as if the body itself is quietly signaling it no longer needs large intakes of sustenance. According to the National Institute on Aging, decreased eating habits can link to the body's diminishing ability to process nutrition in advanced stages of decline. In Marion's case, sipping tea or occasionally requesting a sweet was all she could manage. Catherine, initially worried, tried coaxing her mother with various favorite dishes, but she soon realized that forcing full meals caused discomfort. This shift does not always mean immediate passing. It can be gradual, spanning days or weeks. However, it often coincides with a noticeable drop in energy and an increased desire for rest. If your elderly relative shows a persistent and marked reduction in appetite, especially if accompanied by weight loss or dehydration, it may be one hidden sign that their body is beginning to let go. Consider consulting a hospice care team or a palliative dietitian who can suggest nutrient-rich soft foods or suitable hydration methods to maintain comfort without distress. If you have also witnessed something like this, you can share your insights in the comments. Your perspective might reassure someone else standing in the same place. Meanwhile, Marian is no longer as talkative as before. The once enthusiastic recollections of her childhood summers at the lake have become briefer and sometimes get lost mid-sentence. That diminishing appetite lines up with another subtle clue, a shift in mental alertness and responsiveness. Earlier, Marian would ask Catherine about the grandchildren's school projects or the neighbor's new puppy. Now, she sometimes stares into space, and it takes an extra moment for her to recognize the voices around her. Confusion seems to settle over her thoughts like a gentle but persistent fog. Occasionally, she forgets the day of the week. Other times, she calls her granddaughter by a different name. The CDC states that cognitive impairment often escalates when the body is under heightened stress, particularly at advanced ages. While confusion can result from infections, medication side effects, or untreated metabolic imbalances, it can also be part of approaching life's end. The brain and nervous system are receiving fewer metabolic resources, the body is reallocating energy, or simply functioning at a lower capacity because priorities shift toward preserving comfort rather than fueling high-level cognitive tasks. Family members frequently notice that their loved one experiences episodes of disorientation, perhaps seeing or hearing things that are not there, or revisiting memories from decades past as if they happened yesterday. This phenomenon can be disconcerting, yet it might be a sign that the boundary between conscious presence and deeper internal reflection is thinning. With Marian, her dreams sometimes spill into waking moments. She once spoke of seeing her father, who had passed away nearly 40 years earlier, smiling at her in the living room. Catherine felt alarmed at first, but a hospice nurse gently explained that such visions could be a source of comfort rather than dread. If you see similar changes, respond with gentle reassurance. Arguing about what is real or unreal only creates confusion. By softly guiding or reminding them who was in the room, you help reduce anxiety. If this discussion resonates with you, consider leaving a short comment about how you coped with a relative's disorientation. Such sharing not only supports you, but could guide someone else walking this unfamiliar road. Marian's physical strength is another matter that has changed dramatically. Even though her mobility had been declining for a while, there was a distinct moment when Catherine realized that Marian was struggling to stand without swaying. The arms that once effortlessly wrapped gifts for neighbors at holiday time now trembled when lifting even a light blanket. This is not just typical frailty, but part of the body's gradual winding down. Muscles lose mass, reflexes diminish, and overall stamina declines. Walking from the living room to the front door may seem like traversing an endless corridor. Climbing stairs can become nearly impossible. According to the World Health Organization, older adults with chronic illnesses often face a compounding effect in the final weeks or months, where limited mobility escalates into almost total dependence. Marian found daily tasks extremely tiring. She chose to stay in bed longer, prompting Catherine to worry about bed sores and circulation issues. Fortunately, a visiting nurse advised repositioning her every few hours and using gentle massage to promote blood flow. Even so, Marian's arms and legs felt heavier than before and her steps became shorter, often requiring a walker or assistance. There's a distinctive stillness that can emerge, as if the body has shifted into energy conservation mode. If your loved one's muscles have weakened so abruptly that even routine movements feel exhausting, it could hint at a deeper systemic slowdown. This does not necessarily translate to immediate passing, but it underscores the importance of supportive aids, adaptive devices, and perhaps professional caregiving support. People sometimes feel guilt when they have to rely on specialized equipment or professional home care agencies, but providing the right environment actually preserves dignity. If you relate to these experiences, you might write in the comments about what helped you manage a loved one's diminishing mobility. Sharing these ideas can create a supportive community that benefits everyone facing such transitions. Meanwhile, there is another development in Marian's journey that might initially go unnoticed: a strong emotional and spiritual shift. She often finds herself reflecting on life's milestones, moments of regret, or fragments of pure joy that surfaced decades ago. Sometimes she speaks in a near whisper about her regrets, lost friendships, events she wishes she could have changed. Other times she talks of seeing bright colors in her dreams or feeling a presence she associates with peace. This inner transformation can manifest as a gradual letting go, an acceptance that life is drawing to a close. Family members may see tears of longing or flashes of inexplicable calm. A once outspoken individual might withdraw into contemplative silence, while a quiet soul might suddenly reveal unspoken stories or final messages. In palliative care literature, it is recognized that spiritual distress or spiritual resolution often surfaces near the end. People might question the purpose of their lives, seek forgiveness, or draw closer to a higher power. Marion sometimes clutches her old prayer book, even though she used to attend religious services only occasionally. The nurse who visits each morning explained that this shift is deeply personal. Some find solace in prayer or meditation, while others simply yearn for someone to hold their hand as they reminisce about the path they walked. If your loved one exhibits this emotional or spiritual reorientation, creating a calm setting for sharing can be a remarkable gift. You might sit quietly with them, hold their hand, or invite a spiritual advisor if that resonates with their beliefs. One friend of Marion's found peace through journaling, writing short messages of gratitude each evening. Another neighbor joined a remote support group speaking to families going through end-of-life care, discovering that empathy transcends geographical boundaries. If you have witnessed a relative showing signs of deep introspection or altered priorities, you might reflect in the comments. Such stories can highlight that we are connected by a shared humanity, even in these delicate moments. By now, you may have noticed an underlying pattern. The body, mind, and spirit align toward a singular focus on release and rest, forsaking typical engagements and daily urges. However, there's one final sign that can be overlooked unless you are paying very close attention. It has to do with a pronounced fluctuation in consciousness, moments of lucidity, followed by prolonged spells of near sleep. This phenomenon sometimes surprises families more than any other. In Marion's case, she can appear highly alert in the morning, speaking with a sudden clarity that reminds everyone of her younger days. Then, by afternoon, she drifts into a drowsy haze, scarcely responding to voices or the gentle nudges of her granddaughter. Such fluctuations can escalate in the last days. A surge of unexpected energy or clarity might inspire an elderly loved one to share final goodbyes, only to slip back into a sleepy or dreamlike state. Hospice literature notes that these moments, known as rallying, are not uncommon. They can offer precious opportunities for final conversations or expressions of love, yet the rally is typically brief. Some interpret it as the body's final gesture of bonding, others believe it to be a spiritual clarity, a purposeful moment of closure. Regardless of the explanation, being present during these windows can be profoundly meaningful. If your relative asks for a favorite song during a sudden burst of energy, try playing it. If they speak of a past memory, encourage them to elaborate. Honor those fleeting intervals, but remain prepared for the inevitable return to a calmer, quieter state. Should you have encountered this sign, I invite you to comment about your experience. You might discover that you are not alone in witnessing such bittersweet transitions. Recognizing any of these 5 signs, diminished appetite, altered alertness, marked physical weakness, intensified emotional or spiritual introspection, and fluctuating periods of clarity, does not always confirm that the end is near. Each person's journey is unique, however. When multiple indicators converge, it is wise to speak with healthcare professionals, consider hospice or palliative services, and prepare for the possibility that your loved one's time may be drawing close. In many parts of the United States, you can request a hospice evaluation free of charge. Trained staff can explain care options, comfort measures, and emotional support for families. If finances or insurance coverage worry you, remember that Medicare often includes hospice benefits, and many communities have resources for those with limited incomes, no matter your circumstances. Knowledge is power. It demystifies the process, reduces panic, and provides a clearer path for compassionate decision-making. In my practice, I have seen families torn apart by stress and confusion, not because they lacked love, but because they didn't know what to anticipate. Having a conversation about end-of-life care can be daunting, especially when the person you cherish still has moments of vitality. Yet, these discussions serve as a blueprint. They help you honor your elder's final wishes without guesswork. If you are in a position where you suspect your loved one is approaching life's end, initiating a calm, empathetic exchange about their preferences can bring enormous relief. Ask whether they would like certain music playing in their room or if they prefer a quiet environment. Inquire about who they might want present in their final moments. These specifics might appear small, but they represent vital pieces of a dignified closure. Some families choose to document these wishes in writing or through online medical directive platforms. Others rely on local clinics that help navigate advanced care planning. The key is to approach the subject with tenderness. Avoid pressing for answers if the individual resists, but gently revisit it at intervals to show that you genuinely want to fulfill their desires. As you reflect on these matters, keep in mind that it is natural to feel a complex mix of emotions. Sadness, hope, fear, gratitude, and longing can all coexist. Sharing these feelings with siblings, close friends, or a counselor can help you remain balanced during the care process. If you lack a support network nearby, online communities or faith-based groups might provide the empathy you need. No one should navigate this journey alone. Leaning on resources such as local senior centers or calling an elder care hotline can ease the burden. Many families also find benefit in connecting with grief counselors before the actual loss occurs. Anticipatory grief is a genuine experience, and acknowledging it can make the transition smoother for everyone involved. Sometimes families feel guilty for hoping that their loved one finds relief. They worry it implies they want the person to go. That is rarely the case. Wanting someone to be free from discomfort is a natural, deeply human response. It highlights your care and tenderness. If you carry guilt, remind yourself that the desire for peaceful rest is an extension of compassion, not a betrayal of love. According to the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization, these emotional responses indicate you are fully invested in the person's well-being, physically and spiritually. Still, acknowledging your limits is important. If caregiving duties are overwhelming, it's perfectly acceptable to seek respite care or professional assistance so you can recharge. In the end, a well-supported caregiver is best able to offer unconditional presence. Now, let's take a moment to revisit the 5 hidden indicators we discussed. First, an obvious but easily overlooked decrease in appetite that goes beyond simple pickiness or age changes. It reflects a broader decline in bodily functions. Second, alterations in alertness or confusion, sometimes manifesting as delusions or seeing loved ones who have passed. It may signal the mind is transitioning. Third, a sudden or accelerating physical weakness that makes routine tasks feel monumental. It can set the stage for increased rest and limited movement. Fourth, emotional or spiritual transformations, where introspection, regret, or acceptance become dominant themes, guiding the person to process life's meaning. Finally, fluctuating consciousness that can produce brief moments of clarity or rallying, followed by prolonged fatigue. These episodes often herald a readiness to bid farewell. If you recognize these patterns in someone close to you, remember that time can be both finite and precious. By acknowledging the reality of these changes, you allow yourself to become more fully present. You can offer gentle care and emotional warmth without feeling as shocked by each new development. That said, please do not self-diagnose. Speak with qualified professionals, doctors, nurses, hospice teams, to confirm your observations and plan appropriate care strategies. Knowledge paves the way to compassion, and compassion can make this stage of life more peaceful for everyone involved. In closing, I want to emphasize the importance of community. If you have experienced any of the phenomena described here, or if you are in the midst of caring for an elderly loved one, you are invited to share your journey in the comments. Your words may inspire someone else facing a similar crossroads. Likewise, if you gained insight or solace from this discussion, please subscribe to this channel. Your engagement allows us to keep creating content aimed at guiding seniors and their families through crucial life transitions. Each voice matters, and your story could be the missing piece of wisdom someone else needs to hear today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Caring for an elder nearing end of life is never easy, but understanding these silent indicators can offer a sense of calm, a readiness to say the words you've always wanted to say, and a grace that might otherwise slip away unnoticed. However long or short the road ahead, know that empathy, knowledge, and heartfelt presence can transform this delicate chapter into a meaningful, reverent farewell. May you find strength in the bond you share with your loved one, and remember that even in parting, love remains an enduring gift. If you feel inclined, post a note about your most cherished memory with the individual in your care. Reading one another's reflections can remind us all that, even as time draws to a close, the human spirit and its capacity for connection never truly fade.